It's 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and you know what that means. Sports Paws is on the air. Quinnipiac's two-time defending national champion rugby team drew the number 2 seed in the NIRA tournament. Friday, it hosted a quarterfinal matchup against Norwich.
And Quinnipiac men's soccer squared off against Fairfield in the MAC semifinals after an opening round win.
We're off and running. This is Sports Paws.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Paws. I'm Brian Schwartz alongside MJ Barrett.
Brian, we're donning some new graphics here on our show tonight, so we hope our viewer does enjoy. Well, you know, it might be outdoor fall, wintry weather here in Hamden, but that might be changing, but the athletes and even our reporters must persevere.
That's right, MJ. The Quinnipiac women's rugby team began their quest for a third straight national championship Saturday. Bobcats hosted Norwich in the opening round of the NIRA postseason. So, MJ, let's check out the highlight. Hamden, Connecticut, Quinnipiac hosting the tournament there against the
Norwich Cadets, Brian.
Norwich Cadets there, first half. Pre-game introductions, first half. Here's Alona Marr steamrolling ahead, scoring her 17th try of the year. Laura Poole with the assist on the play, 7-0. Quinnipiac later in the first half. The ball finds Emily Roskopf, flips it to Taylor Schussler. She gets the try. That's her 9th of the season. Quinnipiac 19-0 lead. Now we'll take it to the end of the first half. Where there's a little scrum for the ball. Norwich makes the play. Nice job there. Quinnipiac still leads though, 24-7. Now in the second half, it's Flora Poole, one of the best players on this Quinnipiac team. A sweet little fake pass there, converting the try on her own, her 9th of the season. Quinnipiac rolls 55-7 to defeat Norwich, and now they'll face Central Washington in the semifinals on Friday. Here's head coach Becky Carlson and Alona Marr.
I guess, but at least we can say the one thing we can say is that we know what they have. Now that this will be the 3rd time we played them, so it's good to get a game like this right before we go into semis.
We've beat them one time this season and we've lost to them, so it's going to be exciting to see who's the real winner and the real top competitor. I'm excited to go out there again. I know that we both know what each other does and we know how to combat it and what our strengths are, so it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a back and forth game, I'm guessing.
Brian, so we brought our viewers the action, 55-7 stomping by the Bobcats, but Quinnipiac's Q30's rugby beat reporter Kyle Levasseur has a more in-depth look at why Quinnipiac was so successful.
Thanks, guys. The women's rugby team is heading to the NIRA semifinals. Let's take a look at a few plays from their game against Norwich in the quarterfinals to see how they got here. We'll start with Flora Poole, who leads Quinnipiac in assists and has been unstoppable as of late. She has 12 tries in her last 3 games and leads the team this season. Here she is getting the ball to who else but Alona Marr, who just powers it in right there. We'll slow it down a little bit. Just using her physicality to find those holes. She's almost unstoppable when she gets past the 5-meter line. And one of the reasons why Poole leads the team in assists and Marr leads the team in tries. That combination will be unstoppable the next couple games. This is an interesting play. Just watch Alona Marr's combination of speed and power. Just a special combination you don't see every now and then. Why she really won the National Player of the Year award. Here she is. Norwich's fullback is the only line of defense here. She does a good job of holding on to Alona Marr. Here she is, almost half of Alona Marr's size. She kind of just grabs on like a spider monkey and prays to hold on until someone else on Norwich can get through. We'll back it up a little bit again. Let me pause it here. So look at that. Alona Marr just runs right through. Luckily for Norwich, she can hold on, and it takes a couple of them to drag her down. So here you see Quinnipiac again in their offensive territory. Alona Marr with the ball. And they'll go to a ruck, but look how quickly Quinnipiac's offense is able to get the ball out of the ruck and get it to their back line, which has been excellent all year. Their back line is their best part of their game between Alona Marr, Rebecca Haid, Emily Roscoff. There's so many great players on that back line. It's almost impossible to stop them once they get to the outside. Now that they have a regulation-sized field, they're able to spread the ball out, and they're almost unstoppable. Well, we'll see how they do against Central Washington as they meet for the third time later this year, this time in the NIRA semifinals. Guys, back to you at the desk.
Eric DaCosta and his men's soccer team were the number 5 seed in the MAC tournament. After beating Manhattan last weekend, Quinnipiac earned a spot in the conference semifinals. Here, let's take a look at the MAC tournament bracket now. Quinnipiac obviously taking on number 1 seed Fairfield as they are the lowest seed remaining. And on the other side, it's number 3 Canisius against number 2 Ryder. But we're going to take you right to the action now between Quinnipiac and Fairfield. This game right down the road in Fairfield, Connecticut. Obviously the Stags, as I just said, the number 1 seed. So they do host this game, Brian. Let's have a look at the action. Coming into this game, both defenses, Brian, remember this, are strong. They don't give up a lot of goals. They're 2 of the top 3 defenses in the MAC. So, naturally, nothing through the regulation, nothing in 90 minutes. We'll take you to overtime, though. Well, continue. Nothing going on. You see that save there? That's Fairfield goaltender Gordon Botterill. Here's another one here. He's a 6'5" freshman from Switzerland. And, Brian, you're going to want to remember this name. Nothing in overtime. We are headed to penalty kicks. Here it is. Nope, that one's saved by James Doig. Okay, your 5th-year senior saved by a freshman goaltender. Remember the name, Gordon Botterill. So we'll take you a little later in PKs. It's 2-1 Fairfield at this time. Angus Hastings steps up. Chris Yakovidis, though, makes the save. So what do you think? The Bobcats are right back into it. The Bobcats are back into it, but not for long, as it's Matt Taylor who misses another save by Gordon Botterill. Quinnipiac still trails 2-1 at this point. Fast forward a little bit more. Both teams score, so now it's 3-2. Winning the game, can the Stags with that kick. If it goes in, they don't, though. Right over the crossbar. You see Yakovidis with the celebration there. Quinnipiac needs this one to go in to move on, and they don't. The freshman Simon Hillinger, again, saved by Gordon Botterill. The Stags win, advance to the MAC semifinals. But look, the crowd storms the field for the Stags down there in Fairfield. And Brian, it came down to a freshman, the 5th shooter for the Bobcats, but he wasn't able to get it done.
It was an exciting game. MJ, you were there for the game with men's soccer beat reporter Dylan Fearon.
110 minutes of play, but no goals. That was a story here from Fairfield as the Quinnipiac men's soccer team loses 3-2 in penalty kicks to the Fairfield Stags. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rebound, presented by Q30 Sports. My name is MJ Baird. Alongside me today is men's soccer beat reporter Dylan Fearon. And Dylan, this game obviously came down to the wire, but what'd you see in this one?
I saw 5 penalty takers by Quinnipiac that I expected to put in the back of the net, and only 2 of them were successful. And the 3 that I really thought had a 100% chance of making them failed to do so. And that was James Doig, Matthew Taylor, and Simon Hillinger. 2 seniors and a freshman that is used to taking penalties and being in pressure situations over in Germany. I thought would just make those penalties. And in do-or-die situations, they came up short, and Quinnipiac goes home and they have to live with that.
Eric DaCosta said after the game, penalty kicks are a 50-50 chance. Let's have a listen.
And when it comes to penalties, it's guys who are confident, guys who want to take them, guys who feel good about it, and those 10 players felt good about it. They were excellent in training, and keeper makes saves. We didn't have a single guy put it over the bar or miss the goal. The keeper made the saves.
It was an up-and-down season for the men's soccer team, Dylan. I mean, if you look from the moment they were named preseason MAC number 1s to today, the loss in the MAC semifinals. I mean, talk about a high and low road.
It was just weird. They're picked to win the MAC. They bring almost everyone back from the team that made the MAC final last year. And things just were weird. They weren't the same. A tough out-of-conference schedule against some really good teams. Boston College, UConn, UMass Lowell, New Hampshire, the list goes on. They struggled to score all season long. We thought it was just because they were playing tough teams in the out-of-conference slate, but it continued over in MAC play early on. Then they got themselves going. They won 5 out of 6. They beat Manhattan on the road twice during that stretch. Yeah. One time in the MAC quarterfinals, Will Pastari scores a fantastic goal. And they come to Fairfield, a team they lost to 1-0 in the regular season, but played pretty evenly with. And they play even again tonight, and just have to live with the fact that they lose on penalties. Just a weird year. They had to win certain games in certain situations that, unlike last year, where they weren't in do-or-die situations for making the MAC playoffs or only coming within a couple of points of a home game. Last year was just a lot more easier and just came a lot easier to them than this year.
Eric.
Well, let's check out the results of the MAC Men's Soccer Tournament Championship game Fairfield ended up on top, defeating Ryder 1-0. Diallo Simon Pont had the only goal of the game in the 70th minute. The Stags advanced to the NCAA tournament to represent the MAC, MJ.
Certainly they do, Brian. When I was down there for their game against Quinnipiac, they looked good, but to be quite honest with you, I probably would have taken Ryder in that championship game.
Well, now let's check out our Sports Paws Twitter poll of the week. We asked who was the Quinnipiac men's soccer MVP, and Rashawn Daly won the vote with 31%. Chris Yakovitis, Matt Taylor, and Eamon Whalen also received votes. Daly led the team in goals with 5. MJ, this was a little bit questionable. What do you think about this?
Brian, I'm not sure I agree with this one. 31% of the vote to Daly, 27 to Yakovitis. Of the 4 players on your screen right now, I probably would have voted Yakovitis, but to be honest with you, I responded to the Q30 Sports poll on Twitter. I picked James Doig. I mean, how could you not? The 5th-year senior, he has the experience, he has the heart, clearly. He's been here for 5 years and suffered multiple injuries, and you know, he's the captain, so how can you not take the captain as the most valuable player? That's at least my take on it.
I'm surprised he wasn't even on there, and Eamon Whalen was, having missed most of the season.
Yeah, Whalen was dealing with a lingering injury all year, but nonetheless, Rashawn Daly is the winner in the Q30 Sports Twitter poll this week. Well, Brian, it's time for a quick break, but when we return, Quinnipiac men's ice hockey looked to rebound from an 0-2 start to the ECAC season, but a road trip to New York stood in its way.
And Quinnipiac women's ice hockey hosted 2 games this weekend with Union and RPI coming to town. How'd they fare, and which Bobcat stole the show? Stick around. Sports Pause. We'll be right back.
Coming up on #that, we talk about some fun events around Quinnipiac's campus.
And we talk about some weird news that's been discussed around Twitter.
All that and more, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
Whether you're on the quad, in your room,
or heading to class,
tune in to Q30 News.
For stories by student journalists you can trust.
We are covering the latest here on campus and in surrounding areas.
Get the news you need to know every Wednesday night.
Hello, and tonight on Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired, and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. QCash is accepted.
Now that's a sandwich.
Sports Pause is brought to you by Custom Cakes by Steve. If you can dream it, we can bake it.
Brian, last weekend, the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team was swept in its first ECAC weekend. Head coach Ren Pecknold said, he put it pretty simple, the team just needed to be better. This weekend, the Bobcats were on the road just north of New York's Capital District to try and pick up their first conference win of the season. Friday night, they had the RPI Engineers. What do you think?
They have to win.
They do have to win. They can't start 0-3, can they?
Exactly.
All right, well, we'll let you know how they do here. As I said, up in Troy, New York, the Bobcats trying not to start 0-3 for the first time since joining the conference. In fact, they haven't started 0-2 since joining the conference, but they've already checked that box this year. First period, Landon Smith, little forehand, backhand finds the back of the net. 1-0 Quinnipiac. They score first. In fact, they score second, too. It's 2-0 at this point. RPI with a weak shot from below the circle. Keith Petruzzelli probably wishing he had that one back. Although we head to the second period, 2-1 Quinnipiac, and into the zone comes RPI. They throw it out front. Petruzzelli falls down, and yeah, the puck eventually finds its way to the back of the net. It's 3-1 Quinnipiac at this point. We'll take you to the third period. Quinnipiac leading by 1 here. I'm sorry, Quinnipiac tied now. RPI had scored to tie the game. Here they come on a 2-on-1. What a move there from Victor Lilgren, his second of the game. And that puts RPI up by 1. And who but Victor Lilgren for the hat trick open net goal. RPI beats Quinnipiac 5-3, and the Bobcats lose their third straight conference game this season.
Well, MJ, next they had Union staying up in upstate New York, and you can't go 0-4 to start ECAC
You
play,
really
right?
can't, can you?
No.
Well, they do.
Well, they do.
Yes.
Quinnipiac falls to Union 4-1 over the weekend. Union had 3 goals to go up 3-0. Quinnipiac pulls Andrew Shortridge.
Halfway through the game.
Brings in Keith Petrozelli. Doesn't work. They still lose 4-1. Chase Prisky had the lone goal for the Bobcats. For Union, it was Brown and Sapinski stealing the show on offense, and Hansen with 28 saves. Quinnipiac falls to 0-4 to start ECAC play. Not the start that they would have expected.
Certainly, Rand Pecknold not looking forward to trying to get their first win this weekend. They have Brown and Yale at home.
Well, now let's check out the updated ECAC standings. Quinnipiac will fall to the cellar, as we just said, starting conference play at 0-4. There's the UCHO poll, and Denver is on top, MJ.
Denver's on top, but I'm more surprised. Quinnipiac receives 10 votes, but misses the top 20. I'm not sure who voted those 10 for Quinnipiac, but they just really do not look good right now. St. Cloud stayed up there. They were undefeated coming into this weekend. Cornell, the only undefeated team left in college hockey.
Well, one Quinnipiac team, MJ, on the ice hockey side, has not started off too well. The other one looked to rebound this weekend, so take it away.
That's right, Quinnipiac women's ice hockey. They hosted Union on Friday night. Union has never beat Quinnipiac, so we can't imagine that's going to change this weekend, but we'll have to find out. And, well, the first goal of the game, that goes to the Dutch women. Sierra Lee out front gets behind the Quinnipiac defense and puts Union up 1-0. We'll take you to the second period. Kenzie Lancaster wins the faceoff back. Melissa Samaskevich gets the puck in. Well, Union kind of just skates away from her, Brian, as she skates towards the front of the net. That's Samaskevich's first of the game and only her second of the season. Quinnipiac tied at 1 before this goal goes in. That one is a weak goal. Abby Ives probably would have preferred to have back. We'll take you to the third period now. Bobcats on the power play, and Melissa Samaskevich in perfect position there to tie the game at 2. That's Samaskevich's second of the game if you're keeping track at home, and I bet you're probably going to want to because, yes, Union goes back up 3-2, and with 1 second left on the clock, Taylor House puts that one into forced overtime for the Bobcats. And Brian, when you need a goal, who do you look to? Well, you probably look to your captain, Melissa Samaskevich. That's right. Look at her come from off the screen here towards the front of the net, throws that one out front, puts it in the back of the net. The Bobcats beat Union 4-3 in overtime.
Well, Saturday afternoon, the Bobcats hosted the Engineers of RPI, and Q30 Sports women's ice hockey beat reporter Mike Dalton has more.
The Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team took on the RPI Engineers on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Each team was coming off a win on Friday night and coming in a little bit tired. The first period between the Engineers and the Bobcats was rather uneventful, as each team only got off 6 shots in the first period, with no goals by either team. In the second period, however, Taylor House was able to score for the Bobcat right after RPI killed off a power play. However, with 30 seconds left to go, Jamie Rigsby put it past Abby Ives to put the Engineers on the scoreboard and tie things up at 1 apiece going into the second intermission. Once when the third period came around, each team started to kick it into second gear. However, it was the Bobcats that came out victorious, as Melissa Samaskevich remained hot, scoring her 4th goal in just 2 games. Despite Quinnipiac playing 2 games in less than 24 hours and not having as much energy as they did on Friday, they played, as Cass Turner would say, tough hockey.
I thought we battled at the lines. We were in positions to go to the net. We had a little bit better situational awareness than we've had in the past, and that's just so important.
Abby Ives also had a solid game in net, surrendering just 1 goal and making 21 saves.
I think, I knew if I just kept playing my game that, the results would come, but it's nice to finally have that and just get that confidence instilled again.
The next 7 games for the Bobcats will all be away games, and Quinnipiac has struggled on the road, going just 1-5. However, they are off to a good start, winning their last 2 games at home. Live at Hamden, Connecticut, I'm Mike Dalton, Q30 Sports.
After the weekend sweep, the Bobcats earned 4 points and moved into 6th place in the ECAC standings. We'll take a look at the rest of them now. Harvard leads ECAC women's hockey in first place with 7 points, 3-1-1. Their record, you see Brown down there in the cellar, only 2 points, 1-5-0. Quinnipiac right about middle of the pack, as I said. They sit at number 6, 3-3-0, and they take to the road this upcoming weekend.
Well, MJ, now it's time to hit the hardwood. Coming off a Sweet 16 run, the Quinnipiac women's basketball team traveled to Iowa for the Hawkeye Classic. First, the Bobcats faced the Hawkeyes. And after an even first half, it was all Iowa in the latter stages of the game. The Hawkeyes defeated the Bobcats 83-67. Megan Gustafson led the way with a double-double, 16 points and 15 boards. It was Jen Fay, though, who topped all scorers with 23 buckets. Sophomore guard Vanessa Udoji received big minutes and contributed with 12 points. Quinnipiac would have to face Missouri the next day. So, MJ, how'd they do?
Certainly they did, Brian. Well, they kept it close in the first half, just like they did against Iowa, against number 16 Missouri. But the better team pulled away in the latter half of the game. 3 Tigers scored in double digits, including Jordan Frericks, who led all scorers with 23 points and added 17 rebounds herself for the double-double. Sarah Schuin scored 14 points to lead all Bobcats in scoring.
Well, the Quinnipiac volleyball team, MJ, hosted Canisius Saturday and Niagara Sunday in their regular season finale. So stay tuned to see how they finished the MAC season.
Plus, Brian, the best and, well, a not-so-great play from Quinnipiac Athletics this week. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this one. Don't go anywhere. Down the stretch we come on Sports Paws.
Tonight on Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Qcash is accepted.
Now that's a sandwich.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Coming up on #that, we talk about some fun events around Quinnipiac's campus.
And we talk about some weird news that's been discussed around Twitter.
All that and more, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
A quick message from our sponsors. Sports Paws is brought to you by Custom Cakes by Steve. If you can dream it, we can bake it.
Well, welcome back to Sports Paws. MJ, the Quinnipiac men's basketball team has made drastic changes since the end of last season.
Brian, you're absolutely right. Let's take a look at last year's roster. So here it comes up on your screen, Brian. Here's 5 players from last year's Quinnipiac men's basketball team. Here are the starters.
Wow.
Mikey Dixon, Peter Kiss, Danny Harris, Abglai Bundu, and Shays Daniels.
Mikey Dixon, goodbye. Peter Kiss, goodbye. Danny Harris, goodbye.
So that leaves 2.
Bundu and Daniels are the only ones left. Bundu doesn't even start anymore.
Wow, so Shays Daniels, the lone starter from last year, that is also starting this year. So what is the 2017 Bobcats starting five look like?
Well, it's brand new. It's a couple transfers, but Chase Daniels is that anchor, and he is still there. Rich Kelly's a freshman. Isaiah Washington is back from Penn State. Cam Young, who did not play really at all last year, he's in the starting lineup, and Alan Chiga is there coming off the bench from last year. Now he's into the starting lineup, kind of taking Bundu's role as a defensive forward. So, MJ, it's a new team, a new coach, and a new season, and it all began Saturday afternoon against Dartmouth.
Sure.
So let's check out the highlights. Here we go to Lender Court, where Baker Dunleavy makes his first appearance as a Bobcat. Let's take it out to the first half, where it's Jillian Smith from Dartmouth taking it to the rack. Wow, what a finish. Nice play there from the junior guard. Dartmouth ties it at 5, but here it's Jacob Rigoni, the freshman. Nice celebration there. Quinnipiac goes up by 6. Take it to the second half. Quinnipiac's up 42-33. Brendan Barry, nice move on Elaine Chiga. That's a triple. Green's the three-pointer. Barry cuts Dartmouth's deficit to just 4. Andrew Robinson, corner pop, hits it. Nice job there by Andrew Robinson. His first shot from the field is good. Quinnipiac up by 7. Now Dartmouth, just a 3-point game as Chris Knight makes a nice move. But here's the freshman, Rich Kelly, driving in.
No, he did not.
Chase Daniels, the finish. Now, here's Johnson inside. Dartmouth keeping the game close. Here's Rich Kelly. Tie game, 77, final stages. Drives in. Oh, but he's fouled from the ledge of the line. Quinnipiac was in the bonus. After he missed the first, Rich Kelly, number 2, ice in his veins. Quinnipiac goes up by 1. Final play of the game. Dartmouth, can they get the win? Chase Daniels says, no, 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 not today. Quinnipiac 1-0 on the season. Big win there as Baker Dunleavy, MJ, gets his first win as the Bobcats head coach. And tonight, Quinnipiac hosted Brown in hopes of going 2-0 for the first time in 7 years. MJ, how'd they do?
Yeah, the Bobcats lose this game 79-72, Brian, but, I mean, not really only 7-point difference if I can do my math correctly, but it wasn't really the story of the game. The Bobcats missed a lot of free throws, shot 48% from the charity stripe in this game, also 48% from the field as well. We have our final stats here from the game. It did just end. Chase Daniels with 18 for the Bobcats, Cam Young with 15, and Rich Kelly with 14. As for Brown, it's Brandon Anderson with 23 and Josh Howard with 19. Let's head to Burt Conn Court, where the Bobcats needed a win over Canisius to earn a trip back to the MAC tournament. It was senior day in Hamden, and let's have a look at the action. Elizabeth Kloos and Jamie Termato, the only 2 seniors on the Bobcats roster this year. They're honored before the game. We'll take you to the first set. And who did I just say? Kloos and Termato. This time it's Kloos from the middle. Good kill there by her. And just a little bit later, Jamie Termato on the near side, the outside hitter, puts this one down with the right hand, the tip at the net. The Bobcats win the first set, 25-16. Take it to the second set now. Quinnipiac faces a little bit of trouble, and take a look at the Canisius front line here. Yeah, very powerful hit there. And a little bit later, their setter with a smart play here tips this one over the net. Smart dump there from her. Quinnipiac falls short in the second set, 24-26. Quinnipiac wins the third, so if they win the fourth set here, they can win the match. And Canisius trying to make a comeback, but yep, service error ends the match. Quinnipiac wins this one 3-1, and the Bobcats will face Iona in the MAC quarterfinals this Friday. They are the number 6 seed in the MAC tournament.
Well, MJ, up next, they face Niagara on Sunday, and they lost that game in the season finale.
Let's have a look at the MAC volleyball standings. Quinnipiac is locked in as the number 6 seed, and they have earned a spot in the postseason for the 2nd straight year. The Bobcats will face the Iona Gales on Friday night at 5 p.m. right down the road in Fairfield. In the other game, Marist will play Ryder, while Fairfield and Niagara will receive first-round byes as the number 1 and number 2 seeds, respectively.
Well, MJ, it's that time.
It is.
The top 5 plays of the week, our favorite time of the week. So let's check it out. Let's roll the tape and see what we've got in store. You got the odds. I got the evens.
Okay, Brian. Play number 5 this week. It's women's rugby. Flora Poole, we saw her earlier, talked about her, one of the best players on the Quinnipiac women's rugby team. A little show and go there, fakes the pass, runs it herself right into the try zone. Quinnipiac beats Norwich and advances to the NIRA quarterfinals.
Number 4, the Quinnipiac men's basketball team. Cam Young and Shays Daniels, great defense there. That secured the Bobcats' opening day win.
Shays Daniels votes that one off the island, Brian. Play number 3, men's soccer, MAC semifinals. Chris Yakovitis with the save. The Bobcats fall to the Stags, of course, in PKs 3-2.
Back to men's basketball now for the number 2 play of the week. It's Rich Kelly dribbling inside. Offensive rebound putback. Shays Daniels, the monster.
Number 1 play of the week, you saw it earlier. Landon Smith with the silky mitts here. Quinnipiac loses the game, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but highlight reel play there from Landon Smith. And Quinnipiac, as we said, 0-4 to start the ECAC.
MJ, that was a great week in sports, a great week for Quinnipiac sports. Very exciting. But that is all the time we have tonight. It's been a blast.
Oh, it has, Brian. For my co-anchor, Brian Schwartz, and the entire Q30 production team, I'm MJ Barron. It's been a pleasure bringing you this week in Quinnipiac news. Thank you for tuning in, and so long from Studio 125.